Good afternoon, it's Michael here from Michael's Card Art, and it's Sunday afternoon here on the 23rd of February. Had to think about that. I've just come back from a pretty long drive. Did a fantastic card class up in the bush, as we say here in Australia, and I've just returned back, but such a eager and lovely bunch of crafters I could not have hoped to have met. And they were just lovely. Anyway, we had a great day, and here we are again back in the craft room here in Melbourne. So I made this card the other day and posted it, and so I'm a little bit behind in getting this up onto my YouTube channel. But this is a card that involves a number of sets. So for those people who are anxious about mixing and matching various Stampin' Up! Sets with one another, here's a card that will certainly allay some of those fears, I hope. But it is an Easter card, as you can see, and I've taken advantage of the Easter Lillies Stampin' Die set, and also a retired set called Night in Bethlehem by Stampin' Up!, a fabulous set. And there are a number of sets that one will come across in their time with Stampin' Up! Or with any other organisation, I'm sure. And what you want to do is make sure that you don't discard those fabulous classical sets. And I think Night in Bethlehem is one of those. And definitely for the dies of the Middle Eastern buildings that you see here in this set. It's just invaluable, and I've made a number of cards with that die set. Anyway, it came out as a Christmas set, but we're using it as an Easter set. And the Easter lilies just tie in very nicely with that Easter theme. And so here we have Easter lilies in the Middle East, or as I called it on my YouTube site or Instagram site, I think I called it date palms and lilies. And date palms and Easter lilies. Anyway, that's how my mind is thinking. So let's get started, and I'll show you how I pull this project together. I will give you some measurements on this one because it does employ, and it doesn't do it on this one because this one is going off to a client. So, and they want it in a frame. But basically, what it is you need to have two cards. These are both 5 inches by 5 inches. And they will have a spring mechanism, if you like, on the inside. So rather than using I've got a card that keeps falling down as a result of the overhead fan. Anyway, we'll keep it down. It employs 2 springs. Now these springs are 4 centimeters wide and 5. Oh, here we go. I've got imperial and metric mixed together. So the cards are 5 by 5. This is 4 centimeters by 5 inches, and they're scored at 1 centimeter each. And what will happen is these will sit on the outer edge, or they can sit on the top and the bottom. But basically, these are the things that keep or give our card height, and it protects. It protects this three-dimensional look that we've got going on here. So as you can see here, I've got the springs on this side, the top and the bottom on this card. We're going to put these on the sides, and it just gives us that ability then to be able to maintain that 3D integrity of the card. Now, once the card is put together, it will sit inside its folder, which is, now how many inches did I say that was? Just to quickly check. I think it's 21 or 22 inches. Sorry, 11 inches. So to protect that, what we'll do is this backing card is 5 inches. That's an inch, which is the spine of the card, and 5 inches here. So it's 11 inches by 5 inches. And then when it comes all together, it will close down like that, and thus protecting the lily and anything else that comes up over and above the height of the card. So you can post it, you can send it off to loved ones if you wish to, or you can just make it like without the folder, and you've got the whole scene like this. And what I did was I put a backing board on this just there. All of this yellow will be removed on the card, which I then send on to my client. So this is really a prototype. Okay, so if you missed all of those measurements, you can get them in the transcript accompanying this video here. Now, I was going to do this all in beige, but since I've cut it in white, we'll keep it in white. And this is what I've done with the die cuts. So these are the 3 sets that I've used. I've got Night in Bethlehem, I've got Paradise Palms, and I've got Easter Lilies. Now, I'm predominantly, the predominant ones that I'm using will be the dies from Easter Lilies that we need to make up the lily. So it's 1, 2, 3. We have got the leaves, and I've got this one here, which is 2 new sprouts. I've also got, from that set, I'm using this to stamp the background of our dies, of our scene. And that will be stamped in there. And that's just been stamped, coloured, and I've then re-stamped it with some embossing powder, gold embossing powder, and it gives you that sort of bit of a gold tinge there. Okay, and in this one, all we're using is the die palm, the palm die, and there it is there. Okay, and then we come to our Night in Bethlehem, and we're going to be just using the 2 village scenes, or the 2 housing scenes from that card there. And also, I think we're using the sun around disc, and I can't see where I've placed that. Okay, ideally it's here somewhere, but we'll look for that shortly. Okay, so let's make a start on this. And the first thing that I think we need to do is let's do some colouring. And I've cut these out so that we've got a silhouette going on in the background, just to show a level of height and texture. We're using the silhouette because it could be the midday, and therefore there would be a shadow cast, but it adds another level of texture and dimension to that by having the shadow. Now, you don't, of course, need the shadow if you don't wish to. I just like to go with as much texture and as much layering as I can. Now, I'm going to recommend colouring these white buildings using basic beige, because we're out in a semi-arid area. Let's get some colour on these. Now, normally I would cut these in, as I said, in beige, but I just forgot all about that part. But we're now going to go with white, and we'll colour these up in a beige. This will go, once this white is coloured, it will take on a green hue, but that will soon pass once we let it dry. And you can see there it's now taking on the colour. And whilst it is a little motley at this point, it will come up to our desired beige look. So let's just let that sit for a bit. There we go, and we'll do this next one. Just be careful of the fronds. Now, if you don't have this set, you can certainly improvise and make this a modern day setting, if you wished. Just putting that colour down a little more over here, and here we go. Okay, so you can see why I was keen to make it beige, using beige cardstock in the first place. But here we go, this is colouring up very nicely. We've got a little bend happening there. not exactly what I was wanting in the okay. All right, now let's find the corresponding building, and you'll notice with this die set, one of these die cuts is designed to sit above or in front of the other. Let me just grab and remove a couple of these windows. There we go there. Now what I did was I placed some coloured paper behind here, yellow and red I think it was in the original, and so we'll go back and we'll do that as well, just to kind of give a sense that there are lights on in the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue those into place, and the way I did that, so just in terms of positioning, let me just show you what I mean by one sits in. So this one has got a wider base, and that is designed to hold that one there, and so you get this sort of an impression with the two buildings. Density living at its best. Okay, so let's get some glue down here. I've got plenty there, so just let me take some of that down, otherwise it'll be squishing everywhere. And just apply that here. Okay. Always pays to have a damp cloth at the ready. Okay. And let's place this down. Now it only needs the slightest silhouette. It doesn't need to be a big silhouette. And there we go. I've got some cotton buds here just to pick up these stray bits of glue that may sneak out. There we go. Alright, that's the first one. Just making sure that that's level in its... Oh dear. There we go. Saved it just in time before that glue set. Okay. And with this one, the same approach. Making sure it's on the same level. There we go. There. Let's bring it over a fraction more in line with the size of the silhouette of the other one. There we go. And voila. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is just get some paper and put in behind that. Now, all I'm doing here to put the windows in, I'm using this bit of gold tinted fabric paper here, and that there is from a set of DSP from the current catalogue, I think it is, but it's got some gold tinge in it, and it just works nicely when reflecting shadows from the windows. So I'm just using a little bit of glue and applying scraps of this in behind the windows, as you can see here. And because this won't be seen, it's okay to be a little rough. Well, let's not call it rough, let's call it efficient with our technique, I suppose. Oops. There we go. All right. And window there. I'll just cut off that little end cut there. And there you go. You've got Middle Eastern village with glitter of light in the windows, if you can see that there. Okay, all right, so that's that done. Now let's move on to the I'm thinking the background board. Right, now here's where we require, I'll just move these out of the road. Here's where we require our stamp apparatus. Now, just grabbing for it now. If I can find where I put it. Here it is. Right. Now, because we've got the stamp apparatus out, that means what we're going to be doing is double stamping. Now, double stamping is really where we stamp the same object twice for a number of reasons, and I'll show you once I find the stamp itself. Oh, where did I put it? It is here, and here it is. So what we're going to do is I'm going to stamp this 3 times, although you only see 2 of them here on this one, so maybe just twice. I'm going to stamp this twice as part of the background. So the first one, now, as you may be aware, I never really use black to stamp any of my pieces. I usually use early espresso, or maybe a StazOn. And the reason for that is I just like the look better than I like the black. Okay, just going to wipe that off there. Now, how have I colored this? So what I need to do is I need to leave this in place because I'm going to color it, then I'm going to re-stamp it with Versamark. If I was to take this away, I'd never get it back into the same position. So double stamping means stamping once and then stamping twice in the very same spot where you stamped the first time. I'm just going to use 2 colors, light mossy meadow and light old olive. These are the 2 colors. Now, the light mossy meadow will go down first at the base of the leaves, like so, and then what I'll do is I'll do half the leaf or the frond in light mossy meadow, and then I'll finish it off with light old olive. Why am I doing it like that? Well, I like to think that all the elements in Mother Nature have got more than one color, and here you can see a slight difference in the tone from dark to light. That's just how my mind thinks. So I'm going to just finish those off and I'll come back to you. And now I've coloured that frond there, or that palm frond there, in light mossy meadow and light old olive, and now what I'm going to do is give it a little burst of Versamark, but not on every part of it. I'm just going to give it a little press of Versamark. Now I can take that off and put that into the embossing powder. In this case it's a gold. Now what I should have done was use my embossing buddy to make sure there's no grease or other stickiness around, and here we've got a classic example of where I didn't use it and now I've got gold embossing powder sticking to parts that maybe weren't supposed to have embossing powder. Okay, so all I'm doing there is just removing that. You know what? I'm going to redo that, and whilst this doesn't always work, what I'm going to do first is give it a good rub with the embossing buddy. There we go. So I've just rub that off and hope. Now, see, this is the problem I have. I can't reapply that back to, because I don't know whereabouts it was on the thing. So this is a very good exercise in what not to do. So there is a workaround. So let me show you what that workaround looks like. And this is a bit like a problem-solving activity, isn't it? What do you do when you do this? Okay, so I've got a Versamark pen, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to touch these darker areas at the base of each of these fronds with a little bit of Versamark, and they will be the areas that will come up in with gold embossing powder on them. I think that's probably the easiest and the most effective thing to do at this stage, because there's no way I can get myself to re-ink this in the same spot. So let's see what this looks like when I put some embossing powder on this now. It should only just be in those center parts, like that. There we go. Look at that. That's good. Now, it's probably a bit thick, that one, so take that out. There we go. And apart from that, I think that looks good. So let's heat set that one. Pardon the noise. There we go. Starting to take now. Now, it's not exactly the way I would normally do it. And those lines, gold embossed lines, are quite heavy for my liking. But for the purposes of showing you a workaround, there is one. But we won't do that again when we do the next frond. So let's get our magnets down. And let's do another one the right way. Okay, there we go. Just cross that there like that. All right, down. And I'm going to do early espresso to stamp it. There we go. Perfect. Now what I might do is I might Versamark this right now, and then I can colour this once I've done the gold embossing. So we've put the embossing buddy on it. We're now just going to give it random hits of Versamark. Put that down, and then we can now take it from there and give it another hit of gold embossing powder. There we go. Now, I don't want embossing powder on everything, and I just need to make sure that hasn't happened. So I just go through and I take some of that off, like that. And I think we can live with that. Okay, let's give that a burst of heat. And that's now showing what I wanted on the other fronds. Just a hint of gold embossing powder. So it doesn't matter that they're two different ones, but you can see the one that I do prefer as opposed to the gold down the centre of the frond there, like that. There we go. Now, is that set enough? Let me just... Okay. Now, it is important that you don't, while you're doing this, heating the embossing powder on your project, that you don't heat it while it's underneath. So I was a bit less cautious when I was doing that. Okay, let's put that away and apply some colour. Now what we need to do is give the background a little bit of colour to take away that whiteness that you can see there. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a slight, and that shadow you can see is my ring lamp shadow, but what we're going to do is give it a little bit of a sandy background color, if you like. And the way I do that is I put a little bit of petal pink, so saffron and crumb cake. I blend those three colors onto the background, and those three colors give me a sufficient sandy background feel to the scene. Now, I'll just get these on and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. I'm using the same brush to colour this up. There we go. It's starting to take on the colours that I want. And a little bit of yellow to finish it off. There we go. Now that is the background colour that I want. It is quite, you may not be able to see it too well in this light, but it is the colour that I'm certainly looking for with our desert scene. There it is, very good. All right, now I am going to put just a little bit of red near where the sun is going to be throwing off its blaze of colour. And I'm assuming the sun in this case is going to be sitting up here somewhere. So I just want a little bit of Cajun craze. I'm just going to grab a very fine blending brush. Here's a little one here. Now, just get rid of some of that red. And here we go. Just a little bit of red coming through there. That's the way. Okay, that's all I need. All right, now what we can start to do here is place our buildings in place. There we go. And yes, I think that's good. All right, so something of that nature there. Now, what I might do actually is cut out the top card. I'll chop out the circle that I need because I then need to colour this top card as well. So I'm just using, to make that circle, well, it's an oval actually, I need to create as large a circle as I can, or oval as I can, to create as much scene as I can. And right, can I do that? Because you need to remember you've got to create leave enough on the sides to give the card some support. Let me just see if I can, do I need to go smaller? Let's just see how much of this I'm going to see or not see. What's the next size up? Might be this one. Now this card is slightly smaller than the prototype that I've shown you earlier. I think what I'll do is I'm going to cut the angle like this, and then the Easter lily will come through from here. I think right there. Now I'm getting myself a little bit too... Okay, I know the one. This one here. All right. That's good. All right, so let me cut the top card to give us that sort of line there. And that means that my supports will still be cut without impacting on, and there's the other one there. Okay, so that is the angle. Okay, now I've cut that circle, that oval out, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put in the supports that will be used to keep the card, give that card, or support that card's three-dimensional elements. So let's get those in now, and they can be drying. That's good. All right, we're just going to glue it to the base at this stage. And for that to happen, where's my glue stick here? Now, these, the way these are structured means this. You can place elements, if we glue it on like, let me glue it on first and then I'll show you what I mean. Because there is a particular way to glue these down so that you can use their shape to support three-dimensional elements. Right, that's the first one, and here's the second one. All right, 1, 2, there we go. All right. All right, I'll just wipe that away. Now, what you can see here is I'm going to call them the springs. You can see there's another layer in here that you can use to support elements, or you can glue elements to those areas. So if I was to do it like that, you don't have anywhere really to glue elements. But here, for example, if I was doing it this way, I could glue an element in there and one in there, and that will give you a three-dimensional look while it's being supported like that. Does that make sense? Okay, and that way you don't need to use dimensionals, or maybe just a couple of dimensionals to support the center. Okay, all right, and that goes there. Now, I might put that aside and let's start working now while that dries on the actual, the rest of the pieces. First thing we'll do is color this. Now, when I colored this one, I took inspiration from a piece of DSP that had all these gorgeous tones and that in it. So I'm going to use that again. And I'm also going to use this pattern from the Easter Lillies stamp set to add some gold embossing to it. So a couple of colors that we need, similar to the ones that we've used in the background here. So I've got Cajun red. I do want to have some Pebble Path, maybe some Moody Mauve, and our yellow So Saffron again. So let's get that out. And here we go. All right, so first color will be the color that I've still got sitting on my brush here, which I think is a yellow. So let's get that in there. Okay. All right. Now some Cajun craze and bringing that around. And look, see, blending that nicely into the other colours that are there. Now, I've got some Moody Mauve. I'm going to just use the same blending brush and bring that in there, like so. And see how the colours just nicely blend in. All right, and the last one is a little bit of Purple Path to give me that sort of like grey earthy tone. And here we go there. I'm going to put some mauve back over that just to reduce down that darkness, a little bit of yellow, and I think we're just about done. All right. And there we go. Desert colours at the ready. All right. Now I want to just gold emboss that so that, oops, so that front part of our card is nearly done. All right, and now where's the stamp I wanted? So just with our embossing buddy, give that a good blast of, I don't know whether it's chalk dust or what it is that they use here for the embossing buddy. And there we go. All right, let's get some Versamark onto that. And there it is here. All right. Oops. Oh, I've lost the stamp off my block. All right. There we go. A little here. And just placing it, not so that it's uniform, but just in random fashion over the card edges. All right. Now, just picking that up and giving that a splash of embossing powder. And it's coming along nicely there. Just a tap to get rid of any excess not needed. And maybe a little bit over in this corner here, I think. All right. I'm just going to go over that with a little bit of a brush to remove a couple of those areas that weren't quite okay, I think that's about it. All right, and I'll give that a blast of heat. Okay. So that has come up, I think, very nicely. All right. Now that's the top of our card, and that will sit like so on our spring and our scene. They're starting to evolve in there. All right. Now, when we put in the top card here, then I would imagine it's going to have a similar look when it closes in like this. Everything hidden away. That will possibly have a similar scene and different color, similar combination of color as what we're seeing there. That's my thought at this stage. All right, now our lily. And so we're now at the colouring part of the exercise. And let's get this underway. There we go. All right. Let's give this a wipe down. Any extra gold powder? Let's start with our leaves. I'm going to give them a rich colour. We might even go with a garden green. Oh no, actually, an evening evergreen, I think. The evening evergreen is still a green, but it's a much darker, richer green than the garden. And I want to put in there some, maybe some old olive. So a dark and a light green, just to see how that goes. We might even add a bit of brown to that. Now, when I'm colouring fronds like this, sometimes I'll colour the bottom part one colour and the top part, or I might do it on the sides. Let's do the tops and the bottom. So we're starting off here with our evening evergreen. Nice bit of colour down there at the bottom. Let's do that with all of them. Oops. That crushing of leaf won't matter because you will be bending and folding them as we progress. And there we go. And now the lighter colour is old olive. And so see what we're getting here. We're getting a blending of the two colours. There we go. And we get a product that has tone to it. It's green. Here we go. And the last one is there. Okay. Now that's just the way I like to colour, but you may have a different approach to colouring your leaves. But I've got here, I rarely colour any element with one single colour. I tend to use multiple colours when I'm doing an element, as you'll see here in the actual flower. Now, we've got 3 pieces to this. Now this is the way I've assembled this little Easter lily. I think it's supposed to go possibly like that, but I don't really like that. It doesn't do a lot for me. I tend to do it like this, and that way I can get the stamen to sit in up here and hide some of that glued off area. And for the Easter lily, we're going to use 2 colours, Mango Melody and Pumpkin Pie. And I found that those 2 colours work best together. Okay, so let's start with the yellow first. And I give that a good dose of colour right here at the base. And then I move that colour not right to the edges of the lily, so I want still the edges of the lily to have some white. Oops. Okay, that is probably sufficient. And we'll do the same down here with this part of the flower. There we go. So a good bit of rich colour there, tapering off towards the end, and also the same here, just not taking it right to the end of the flower. So there's that. Now I'll finish it off with some pumpkin pie, only because that just emphasizes. There you go. Now it doesn't look too dissimilar to the yellow. It doesn't scream I shouldn't belong here. I don't think I need to color this one, but there you go. That is our Easter lily colored off. Now I haven't tried doing that. I haven't tried doing this with this plant, with this image. I'm just wondering. Let me just see where it is. That's pumpkin pie. Where's Mango Melody? Mango pie. Here's our Mango Melody. I haven't done this before. I have done it with a number of other die cuts, but I'm just going to see if this adds any thing to it at all. I think it does. Now I'm just using the Stampin' Write marker for this, and I like the emphasis that it brings. Okay, so there we go. Yes, that's good. So just using the bullet end, not the brush end. Yes, I like that. Now just finish these ones off. And sometimes emphasizing the lines of the die cut does work, and there are times though when it doesn't. And there we go. It's just a matter of practice. It's just a matter of experimenting. But I do like what it's bringing to the party here with this one. And last couple here. There we go. That's it. Okay, so it will basically fit like that. The stamen here like that. Sorry, the last piece there, and then the stamen will go in here. And what color will I do the stamen? Actually, I'm going to change the color a little bit. I'll make the ends dark. These parts up here. I'm just using a black blender here. Alcohol marker. Making that black. I think they're generally an orange color, aren't they? And I'll bring this down and make this. There we go. Okay, there's our stamen ready to go. Now, let's put this one together, and I'll show you how I do that. And it's really just a shaping exercise now. So now I'm going to just bend these little pieces forward, because this lily does grow backwards, if you like. It seems to just bring that forward, because we don't want it sitting too far back to give it a three-dimensional image, because even with the 1-inch fold on our spine, if it's too well folded, then we won't be able to fit it in without damaging the real estate, if you like. All right, so it'll fit there like that, and then this will sit underneath it. All right, so a little bit of glue here for our stamen. Oh, there we go, just a little bit. Now I'm going to bend that forward a bit so we can see it. There we go. That's it. And you can see that's now how that sits up like that. Okay, now with our folded piece, we need to actually glue that to this one, and then that will glue to that. Now, how best to do this? Like so. All right. Let's get some glue onto this. Oops, no, we need to go here first. No. Oh, Michael. Sorry, I've made a mistake there. Let's take that off there. Thank goodness for cotton buds. There we go. So that will go there like so. Oh dear. A small paper clip. All right. Just a little bit like that there. Okay. Now I may need to redo the stamen cover again. But anyway, let's just see how it comes up. Let's put that aside to dry and see what sins I've created. As I said, we may need to just do part of that again. But whilst that's drying, let's move on to our palm fronds and our palm tree. Now, here I'm going to use garden green. So I've got a nice rich colour here on the fronds, but I'm going to mix that with some yellow. So here is our garden green. Still a little bit of stickiness on my fingers. I'll take that off. And let's put some around here. I'm also going to use a little bit of Mossy Meadow as my green. And this has got a little bit of yellow in it from the pumpkin pie, so this will come up. There we go. And I've got, there we go, look at that. Nice rich colour there for our fronds and for our tree itself. Let's give that a bit of a brush so that some darkness appears on the underside of those frond branches like that. There we go. Bit in the center. Now we'll move in with our yellow, the crushed curry. Don't need a lot, just a little bit, just to, there we go, add some light and shade areas, like so. Great. All right. Now, the tree itself, we're going to use, just get rid of that. For the tree itself, we're going to use brown, and I'm going to use some pecan pie and early espresso for the tree trunk itself. I'll start with the pecan pie. There we go. And then finish off with some of the early espresso. Okay. And there we've got our tones happening for the tree trunk. All right. I'm happy with that. So we've got our leaves for our Easter lily. We don't need that anymore. Leaves for our Easter lily. We've got our palm fronds. This is just drying, and we will now move on to this part, which is just an additional blossom occurring on the Easter lily. I do need to stamp something here. Let's see if I can quickly find it for you. There it is. Normally I'd stamp this before I cut it, but I didn't. So let's see if I can make this fit. All right. All right. All right, here we go. Touchdown. Voila. Oh, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. All right. I just need some crushed curry and some orange. And that will reflect the colours that we've painted the lily before. Oh, that's Daffodil Delight. Where's the crushed curry? The lemon. Sorry, I can't find. That's a mystery. I'm going to use, because I can't see that I've got Mango Melody in blends. Maybe we didn't have one. Okay, so I'm going to use Daffodil Delight and orange, dark pumpkin pie. So the dark pumpkin pie will just be at the base. There we go, like so. There we go. And finish that off with some, there we go, not all the way up to the top. Make sure we're blending that so it runs, the two colours run together nicely. Like so. And I think what I've done is I just have changed the whole configuration of this flower. I'm just going to put some dark crumb cake in there, just because I can. There we go. And then we've got a little bit of green. And here we are there with that. Okay, All right, and there we've got our colour there. All right, now let's see where we're at with this. Okay, I can work with that. Now I just need to lift this back a bit and glue that like so. There you go, so it glues there. Like that. All right. And will that go like that? Yes, it will. Okay. All right, so there's our Easter lily. We'll shape that a little bit more as we get closer to installation. All right. Now let's look at that installation. All right. Now there's our so I'm going to glue these together, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you that spring in action. I'm going to place a couple of dimensionals here on the first piece of the village scene, and I just want enough to lift that off the base of the, yes, that's probably enough. And then I've got this spring, I've got a couple of pieces of this spring spare. I'm going to cut that so that it will sit at the back of this, and it will lift it up away from the first one to give us a sense of height and layering. So we just need two small pieces, one and two. Okay, now what we need to do is just get the bone folder and press that out, and those two pieces will go, one will go here. That's it. Just a small amount of glue. One will go there. Like that. And that one will go there. Like that. All right, and that will go onto that like that, and there you've now got that elevation away and there. All right, let me just get that into position first. Now, when that sits on there, it needs to sit on the same level as that. There we go. Like so. And then that back one will sit just about there. Because then that will allow enough room for this to sit in there without hiding too much of the village. All right, and there we go like that. And whilst we're at it, that tree will come through there like so, and this is where our spring comes into play. We can adhere just a small amount of glue there, and that will be supported by the tree. That will support the tree. Now I've got a little finger mark of colour here, so I might put that there, and yes, I think what I'll do is this. There we go. And then that will go like so. And that will sit on the outside of that, like that there. All right, let's get that into place. So what I'm going to do now is I'll attach that there and that there, so you get a sense of where we're going. That's good. Now don't worry about this void here, because that's where we'll put our sentiment and the likes there. So let's just give that a bit of another quick bone folder, and like that. There we go. And let's get that into play there, like so. All right, and because it's 5 by 5, you can't go wrong with positioning. All right, and then this one goes like that. Now, there we go. Now, let that settle. We may have just a little bit of overhang there, but that can easily be fixed. Yes, we'll have a little bit of overhang there with that. Oh, I've got to move this along a bit. There. All right. Just a little bit of a snip there. Great, and let's take this one out as well. All right, and then you can see a little more clearly now where this is going to live, like that. All right. Like so. All right, and you can see here, you don't have, the card doesn't fill up all that space there. That extra space is for our flower to go in here so it doesn't get crushed, like so. There we go. All right, see, method behind all this madness. All right, now we can have the flower sitting like this, and of course you're going to have we're going to put these in shortly. The reason I'm deliberating is I'm not sure what color I want to do this inside cover here, but here's where we can bring our Easter lily to the fore with some leaves, being careful not to encroach on that fold space, and here to fill in that cavity there, etc. All right, let's get this into place. Now I've got a little bubble, a glue bubble here. Let me show you how to fix that. Well, it's maybe not to fix it, it's more to hide it. So I'm going to just bring these, curve these forward now, and then I'm going to fold this part back, which is a little more familiar, I think, with how these lilies grow, or how we get them in the wild. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a butterfly on that part there. Okay, now our leaves are going to go like that. Let's get those shaped up. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Let's get this one out of here. Yeah, like that. Now, you will notice that with this version, you're seeing a little bit less of the village than in the initial version that I did. And that reason is because this card is 6 by 6. And if it was 6 by 6, I wouldn't have enough. There's no card stock that I've got that will allow me to fold that over. Unless I used a 12 by 12, and I don't have that. So I've just reduced the size of this down to 5 by 5, and hence why you're seeing a little less of the village. But if you want to make yours so that the village is more visible, then just increase the size of the card from 5 by 5, increase it upwards. All right. Let's just umming and ahhing here about the leaves. Let's get these on now. Oops. So we've got 1. 1. Make some space here. 2. Now, I just need to keep checking back here. Two, 3, and let's see, 3 and 4. Okay. All right, that's good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's leave that to dry for a moment. And I'll just grab out a butterfly. I'm just going to put a butterfly right here on that center part where that has been. Here we go. Just to give it. There we go. And we'll put another one so it doesn't look too random. Put another one just here. Yeah. All right. So we've got 2 butterflies. We'll put a 3rd one there somewhere. Okay. And then it would close down comfortably like that. So our butterfly is in place. like so. All right. Now, let's move on to the next step of getting our sentiment ready. Okay, so just before we put the sentiment in there, let's put this palm tree in its place. And that just needs a little bit of adhesive. I just realized I haven't popped all these out. So let's get those out. Like so. There we go. All right. And that will go in there like that. I've got a little bit on the stem here and down the bottom. Okay. Through there, over there, and there. Like so. Sorry, I just was explaining and I forgot to turn the video on that I've put some fronds in here just to fill that space a little bit, and also just to hide that little mark that I had on that building there. Just getting rid of one of those dimensional dots. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and colour the card and put our sentiment on the top there, which is where I think I'll put it rather than on the inside of the card. Okay, so let me just get that ready for what I need there and I'll come back to you. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to colour the spine and the front cover and the inside section of this, similar colours to what we did on the outside of our card. And I'm also going to use the cutout oval, and I'll make that where we write our sentiment for the receiver of this card. So we used, let me just see what's left on this brush here and on this one. Okay, no colour left. So let's go back to our colour choices. We had Cajun Craze, a little bit of So Saffron, and I've got some Moody Mauve and Pebble Path. So let's bring those into play. I'll start off with some Pebble Path, just a little bit on the edges. Some Moody Mauve. There we go. And we've got some Cajun Craze. There we go. And some yellow. And there it is there. Now our sentiment will go in, Happy Easter will go in there. Now I'll just colour these up here as well while I've got the brushes out. And yes, a little bit of red. Yellow in here. And some mauve. And some yellow. There we go. And where's our mauve? There we go. All right, so there we've got our colours in place. There we go. Now, just some gold embossing now to go on top of that. And that should be that. All right, where's our embossing buddy? Here it is, here. Now, it's quite a large sentiment we've got on the original card, and I just need to find where I got that from. But before we do that, let's get this into place. All right. Random placed some gold embossing. All right. And I think that's good. Let me just brush a little bit of that off where it's collected here. There we go. All right. Now what I've done is I've coloured the front and embossed it, and I've burnishing the edges just using a vintage brown or a soft suede, and I've got the inside coloured as well, and that's for your sentiment. And the last thing we need to do is attach our card, and to do that it's just a simple matter of applying some glue and placing it into position, like so. And there you go. And it sits nicely in place, like so, with plenty of room to protect your flower, and to write your sentiment, and to send off what could be seen as a very nice Easter card. So, I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you've learned something. And most of all, I hope to see you next time on Michael's Card Art. Thank you and take care.